actually received quite a few questions and comments about people asking me how I even landed this role. This entire process, from application all the way down to final offer, probably took somewhere from— One of the biggest differences from consulting, having now moved to an actual company, is at the end of the day, the only thing that really matters is whether or not you're willing to show up and put your best foot forward to move towards whatever goal it is that you're chasing. Good morning. We're heading to work today and it's a Friday. For those of you who are new here, my name is Matt. I'm currently working in corporate strategy at a big tech company, but prior to that I was actually working in consulting, and so if you look at my channel, that's why a lot of my videos are consulting focused. Prior to that, I actually worked in investment banking, so I have a few videos on finance as well. Today's a Friday and my company is only 3 days return to office mandatory, and so most people only come in Tuesday through Thursday, but I personally just come in Monday to Thursday or Monday to Friday just because I've really grown to appreciate the stability that comes with having a nice routine. I also just enjoy working in the office and seeing my coworkers, and also just feel like I'm a lot more productive when I am in the office. And so I don't want to sound like a boomer, because I definitely think it's possible to be productive at home, but just me personally, staying in my shoebox New York City apartment, I'm never as productive as I am when I am in the office. Good morning. Okay. All right, so just got to the office and we have a bit of an issue, which is that I just realized I did not bring my tripod. And so normally I would have it set up around the office as I work to get these shots. But today, you guys are just gonna have to watch me make do with what I have, which in this case is literally just my camera and office furniture. So apologies in advance if the rest of this video is a little bit rough, because I'm trying my best here.
Three hours later.
Oh, this looks great. Thank you. How are you? Nice. All right, guys, so I just finished up a call with one of the senior product managers on a team that we're working with. And over the past couple of weeks, I've been having a ton of one-on-one calls with various people just to meet everyone on the team. And I definitely think that one of the biggest differences from consulting, having now moved to an actual company, is just the level of complexity at such a large company like Google. And so like in consulting, you can typically get up to speed in a new case in a matter of weeks because you're staying at a relatively high level. But here, when you're actually working at the company, you have to be intimately familiar with everything at the company, or maybe not everything at the company, but everything about the teams that you work with the most closely. And even getting to that level of detail takes much longer than you think and was a little bit of a surprise to me. And I think the reason why it takes so long is because you not only have to meet and build relationships with a lot of different people around the company in order to be effective, but you also have to get up to speed on just a ton of context from what has currently been going on at the company before you joined. And not only that, but every company has its own specific way of doing things, its own set of jargon and acronyms, and its own complicated org structure. And the org structure at Google is definitely not very straightforward. It is a matrixed org structure, which means that the company is organized not only by function, like sales, marketing, finance, but also by product. So, like the Pixel and other devices and ads and YouTube, etc. And so all that's to say, it's actually taken quite a while for me to get up to speed, and I think it's going to continue to take a few more months at the least for me to fully understand what is going on here. And so that has been one of the biggest surprises and differences that I've found from consulting. Now, although I'm getting up to speed on the job still, I can definitely speak intelligently about the interview process and how I actually got this job. And I've actually received quite a few questions and comments about people asking me how I even landed this role out of consulting. And so hopefully this is helpful for you. Now, a lot of you in the first stage asked me whether or not I was contacted via a headhunter/recruiter or whether I applied online. And so to walk you through the entire process from application all the way down to the final offer, this is what my process looked like. So I applied to Google through an online application. I was not contacted through any kind of headhunter or recruiter. I did have a referral, and I do believe you should always apply to these kinds of competitive roles with a referral if you possibly can, because there's such a sheer volume of candidates that you need to do everything to stack the odds in your favor. And something that I feel obligated to share is that I actually applied to Google 5 times and was rejected in the first 4 times before I even landed an interview. And so it was by no means like the first time that I applied that I got this job. The first 4 times I literally applied and then was auto-rejected or rejected after a day or two, and had honestly no clue why I was rejected, even though I felt that I had a really strong application. And honestly, just looking at the job posting on LinkedIn, I would see the words, "Oh, over 100 applicants have applied." And I would be like, thinking to myself, okay, well, what the heck? There's no way that I'm even gonna get to the first round. But after the 5th time of trying, I landed an interview and I was invited to the next stage, which is the hiring assessment. And so this was really just an online assessment where I was asked a bunch of questions, maybe like 20 to 30 questions. And after about a day or two, I heard back that I had passed this and was invited to actually schedule a call with a recruiter. And so I spoke to HR for the first time. I spoke to a person for the first time here. And they gave me a little bit of context on the role and what the expectations were if I were to proceed. And then they gave me a case study after that. And this was a take-home case study. Now, this is where, depending on what role at Google you apply to, there's probably going to be some divergence right here, because for the strategy and operations role that I was applying to, they gave a case study, but maybe if you're applying to an engineering role, for example, they're going to do something else. And so I got a take-home case study. I had about 7 days to complete it, and it was very vague, very ambiguous. They basically asked a very vague business question, which I had to then come up with my own structured response to, including a 8-page slide deck. And I submitted my deliverable after 1 week to HR, and then they passed it on to the team to review. And that took about another week. And so after that, it took a few days, but I eventually scheduled the first of 3 to 4 rounds of 45-minute interviews. The first round was just a debrief of the case study, but also to meet the hiring manager. And then the rounds after that were just to meet other members of the team. And Each of these interviews consisted of a pretty traditional consulting style case interview, as well as some behaviorals as well. Because what I've found is Google is not only hiring for ability to do the job, but also whether or not you're just a good person in general and friendly and collaborative. And so there were a lot of behaviorals asked about how I work with other people. Now, after I had done 3 to 4 rounds of these interviews, I finally heard back, probably 3 or 4 weeks later, from the recruiter saying that they were gonna extend me an offer. I was super excited, super ecstatic, honestly was ready to literally sign on the spot, but people told me that I should definitely negotiate the offer, because what a lot of these tech companies can do is they can increase your total comp if you just ask. It's a little bit more difficult to increase the base salary and the actual cash comp, but you can definitely negotiate on the equity portion. And so that's what I did, and I actually managed to get a significant increase in equity as part of my package. And then I accepted the final offer from there. Now, this entire process from application all the way down to final offer probably took somewhere from 1 to 2 months. And so as you can see, these interview processes move pretty slowly, and it's not uncommon for people to take like a week or 2 in between rounds before they hear anything back. But hopefully this at least gives you a bit of a better understanding of what an S&O interview process might look like if you are pursuing that kind of a role. So I know some of you might be watching this video from home or from school right now, and you might have some kind of goal or some kind of dream that you've been thinking about for some time, but you don't feel like you have what it takes to achieve it. Maybe it's the fact that you see all these other people at your school who are so much more talented, more well-spoken, charismatic, or attractive than you. Or maybe if you're working full-time, you're seeing these other coworkers of yours that come across as so much more intelligent and better at building relationships at work than you. And what I have to say to that is, I understand you, and I feel you, and I have been there. And there have been many instances in my career and when I was a student where I felt like I was not the best candidate for the job, and that there was always going to be someone who was better than me at that role, and they would land that job instead of me. Now, I recently spoke with someone working full-time on the phone, his first year out of college, who was unhappy with his current role and wanting to switch over to consulting. And he told me, you know, Matt, like, to be honest with you, I don't think that I have very good chances of landing this consulting job, because there are so many other people that are more qualified than me that are interviewing for these MBB positions. And that got me thinking, because at the end of the day, there are 8 billion people on this earth, and there is always bound to be someone who is quote unquote better than you or more well-suited than you at whatever it is that you are trying to achieve or accomplish. But I think what's important here is that the universe rewards people who are willing to still try despite knowing that they are not the best person for that job. And so if there's anything that you take away from this video, I want it to be that at the end of the day, the only thing that really matters is whether or not you're willing to show up and put your best foot forward to move towards whatever goal it is that you're chasing. I hope that you found this video valuable or at least entertaining. And with that, I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. Oh, it's slippery.